see if somebody's going to join in. Can you hear me, or did you turn your volume down?
I turned the volume down.
Beautiful. All right. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Eskimo Empire podcast. Thought that was a great way to start on those lovely Grey Cup wings, and boy, I tell you, do we have a fun time this evening with who is in the Grey Cup Turf District. Of course, I am Andrew. Thanks to everyone that listened to the podcast with Tony Washington and with Riley. I really appreciate all the good, nice things that you guys said about Riley, and also it was just a fantastic chat with Tony. And, hey, he's a good dude, and hopefully he'll come back. And they had a little Twitter fun and games with him and Mike Riley afterwards, and we'll talk about that as we go further in the show. Quickly, before we get to everybody who's here, just a reminder of the West of Us kickoff party on May the 15th, and that will be, so that's a Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m. at First Round downtown, and we're going to have past and future featured fans. We're going to do a live podcast recording and hopefully get some of our alumni friends to join in and have a little fun. So let's actually, before I get one more thing, because I was telling everybody to use the hashtag West of Us Kickoff, and I selected our first random winner. Now, this is kind of funny. Our first random winner is Joe Pritchard. Oh, yay! Wow. And our U.S. fan. So, yeah. Well done on using the hashtag West of Us Kickoff. Keep using that, and another one will be selected randomly for the show in 2 weeks. So, as we get closer to May 15th. All right, let's see. Where are we now? Empire points update. Let's see now. I think Leanne's in the lead. I didn't really do it properly this week, so I ran out of time. There you go. I'll have to put it in later. You'll find out on the show. Yeah, exactly. Leanne's in the lead. She had a good week. All right, here we go. Let's go to see who is here. Let's start with who is always here. Yay!
Hey, how's everybody?
Yeah, that's good. Good. I'm glad you're back.
I'm happy to be back.
Excellent. How was your weekend?
Busy. Moved some furniture, a little stiff, cleaned the backyard, the usual stuff.
I just wasn't sure after all of this Tony Washington talk and you're back here again if you'd be all right. So
I'm fine. I'm great. I'm perfect.
Awesome. Also joining us, returning featured fan, Mr. Chris. How are you doing?
Doing all right, Andrew. Good
Excellent.
to be back.
Yes, thank you for coming back into the new Turf District.
Nice to have you back.
And glad you are back here for this eventful evening on episode 41.
Thank you.
I understand you're at the Iron Maiden concert.
What?
Yeah, excellent. What? That was exactly the response I was looking for. Yeah. So it was good from what you remember.
It was fantastic.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
And of course, as teased for many weeks, joining us, Grey Cup champion from 1993, Mr. Jed Roberts. Yay! Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So how are things these days for you?
Things are good. Work as a child and youth care worker
Awesome.
in an intensive treatment residential treatment facility for teenage boys, so It's never a dull day. But
I bet.
That's something I kind of segued into as I was winding down my playing career in the earlier part of the last decade. And it was kind of a nice move from playing football for a living to working with young people. It's something I have a passion for, and I really enjoy it. I whistle while I work. And, it's the only way to be.
It's awesome. Well, the nice thing too is that I mean, you're a big dude. Let's sit down and have this conversation nicely. Yeah, that makes.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Yeah. Some of those guys are just like whatever. I mean, size doesn't mean anything, right? So, you have to earn their respect, and so I work pretty hard to do that.
Yeah,
meet them at their level.
That's fantastic. So now you're doing Football 101. So okay, go. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. Okay, so but you're doing Football 101. How many years have you been doing 101 now?
I would say probably around 10 years.
Nice.
I started doing it with Tom Richards, and then he stepped away a couple of years ago. So we brought in a guy that you had in here a little while ago, Glenn Harper.
Yeah.
And he and I have a lot of fun. So we keep it pretty loose. We tell a lot of stories, and we try to sneak a little bit of stuff in there about football as well. So it's a good gig. We have a lot of fun, and we want to keep doing it. I think it's a good way to connect with the fans and make the game more accessible to some people that might be too shy to ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's part of the reason we do this. Connect them back to you guys. So Now, I got a million questions, but we have some fan questions that wanted to come through. So let's start with this. This is a classic Joe Balaneski question. So let's see. Which is more scary on the battlefield, the Galactic Empire from Star Wars or the Eskimo Empire?
Well, before last year, I'd have to say Star Wars. But now that the Empire has been resurrected, and, Riley has everything firing on all cylinders. And we've got Jason Moss here to bring some excitement into our offense. I think we're going to probably see more of the long ball, more of an up-tempo offense in contrast to what we were used to in the last couple of years. Not knocking what we were doing. We wanted to break up with it, but I think our offense will be a lot more fun to watch with Jason, because I know Jason really well, and I think that with him, I don't think they're really going to miss much for beat. I think they'll be right in there. So I'm going to have to say the evil empire here in Edmonton.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Eskimo Empire, awesome.
A lot of people are going to have a lot to fear this year.
Good. I like the way you talk.
Yeah.
All right. So now, which CFL city was the most fun to play in?
Oh man, well, that depends. That's kind of depends on what you're talking about. Like Montreal, we would never go to bed. We would just stay up all night and just stagger onto the plane and then sleep on the plane or not sleep on the plane. Vancouver was a lot of fun, but in Vancouver it was kind of annoying because the bars were closed at 1.
Oh, okay.
And so we were like,
what do we do now? Yeah, exactly.
Nice to look at, but what are we going to do? Right?
What other trouble can we get into? Yeah, exactly.
But I would probably have to say that, Montreal is probably my favorite place to play. Just because when they moved it out of the Big O, which was just a big cement pit, they put it back onto the campus there at McGill. It was nice because you had the mountain right there and the younger fans. I mean, I think they're really connected to a younger generation by making that move. And I'm kind of hoping that Toronto does the same thing and by moving it to the new field there.
Over to the,
So I would say Montreal. I mean, St. Catherine Street. I mean, there was some crazy stuff that used to happen when we would walk down the street there. I would always get really cozy with the French players on our team in the week leading up to that.
I guess then you know that.
You guys do all the talking. I'm going to take my hearing aids out. I'm just going to follow you. Because I don't know any French, so I don't need them anyway.
Exactly. It's not going to help me anyway. I'll be fine. Yeah. I like that. That's perfect. All right, last one for the Periscope here. Do you remember your first CFL game?
Oh, man, I tell this story all the time. I don't know how much time you have. How much time do we have?
Well, we'll make whatever time you give us. Yeah.
Okay, so my first season I came in, I played two games. Mm-hmm. The first game I actually dressed for was against Winnipeg here at home, and we beat them, but Dwayne wouldn't give me any new pair of shoes, right? So I tried and I begged but he wouldn't give me a new pair of shoes, and I don't know why. He's kind of mean to the rookies. Right? So I got in at the end of the game on mop-up duty, and I was slipping and sliding. I mean, you would have thought I was a curler out there. Right? The way I was, and so after the game, Dwayne was like, "Well, why didn't you tell me you needed a pair of shoes?" And I said, "I've been asking you for shoes all year." Right? So then the next game I dressed for, we were in Regina, and we went out there and got our butts handed to us, and then we went on a run and went on to the Grey Cup that year and lost to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
The next year I came back, we had a brand new head coach, brand new everything, right? Ron Lancaster came in. My dad told me he was a good man. I'd met him when I was a kid in high school at a banquet.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So I was starstruck. Mm-hmm. And I was I didn't say anything when I came in about my dad and stuff like that, so I don't think he really knew the connection until like halfway through the training camp.
Okay.
And our defensive coordinator, Rich Stubler, he was a good football mind. So it was our opening game that year just happened to be against Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And this was my first game as an actual, I'm going to be every game playing in the roster. So we went out to Taylor Field, and Ronnie was making his return and it was just crazy. It was just nuts, You can imagine. Right? The guy played quarterback out there for 58 years. And then he tried to coach after that, and it didn't go so well. They ran him out of town on the rail like they normally do, right?
That's right.
So he came back, and we're getting all excited. I had this thing with my mom was a single parent raising 3 kids, right? And I had 2 sisters, and when my mom and dad split up after my dad's football career ended, it didn't go so well for my mom. She had to work really hard to put herself through night school, and she used to go to all my football games. And I had this thing where I had to find her in the stand before every game I played in.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do that, obviously, when I was playing the CFL because she was living in New Hampshire and couldn't come and fly to all my games. Right? We weren't making any money in the CFL, still don't. But I would call her. So I had all my Eskimo stuff on. And this was before cell phones, right? Yeah. Well, you had cell phones back then, but they were probably the size of this table. And the only one on our team that had one was Craig Ellis, and he looked ridiculous. So we were in the dressing room, and I went out, and I got my calling card out, right? Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Called my mom.
Yeah.
Told her I loved her, thanked her for the support, and she said she was going to tape the game because they had a satellite dish out there, way out in the boonies in New Hampshire. So I said, okay, that's fine. Hang up the phone, call my dad. My dad's at the Elmdale pub in Ottawa with all of his old playing buddies from the Rough Riders. So pretty cool. He's like, yeah, everybody's all pumped up. I can hear everybody cheering in the background. So then I hung up the phone, and then I'm just fired up. I went back in, got my uniform on, ran out onto the field. We did the coin toss. We were kicking off, so I ran out onto the field, and I'm looking around. It's just electric, right? You can smell the hot dogs and the hamburgers, and the fans are crazy. And, it was pretty cool. So I ran out there, and I'm standing on the 30, jumping up and down. The ball's getting teed up, and the referee goes into his windup. There's 35,000 people screaming, and I'm like, man, I've just arrived. And I'm thinking about all the late night workouts I did, all the blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point. And I start to run down the field. I get about 10 yards down the field, and I fall flat on my face. Then I try to get up, and I trip my own teammate over, and we're both fighting with each other. Albert Brown gathers the ball in. Yeah. Takes it 110 yards for a touchdown. Jumps over me on the way. Longest opening day kickoff return in the history of the CFL. That's my first CFL play.
Welcome to the show.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding.
So I kind of slowly walked off the field and tried to make it so that Ronnie wouldn't see that it was me that screwed up that play. And so I sat on the bench, and I'm thinking, man, I just have to take this play out of my mind and start over again. So the play goes on, and then all of a sudden I hear somebody's like grabbing me. You got to get in there, man. And Ronnie's going, we're punting the ball. Roberts, get in there. Because I was playing special teams, right, my first few years. And so I ran out there, and I'm like, oh, man, all I got to do is just, stay on my feet, right? So I'm trying to give myself a pep talk, and I line up, and the ball's put on the hash mark there. Center snaps it. I beat the guy across me, and I'm running down the field. It's just me. I'm looking around. There's nobody around me, right? So I'm running. Albert Brown again sees the ball, catches it, looks at me, and makes one move to the field. Then he starts high stepping over toward the sideline. So I adjust my course. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to meet this guy, right? My mom's taping the game. My dad's going to buy a round for the whole bar. I'm running, and I get about 2 or 3 yards away from him. I go to reach for him, and boom, I get hit. And then do a backflip, land on my head, jump up. Didn't hurt. Run over the sideline, sit down. Oh, man. I'm like, I'm just, where am I? Like, did somebody get the number of that truck? And so I'm on the bench, and I grab the Gatorade, and, I'm drinking out of it, and I pour it all over my head, and I grab the towel, and I'm wiping my face off, and I'm trying to get the cobwebs out of my head.
Wow.
And then grab the Gatorade again, take a big long pull, pour it all over my head, put it down, grab the towel, again, right? I throw it down, I'm disgusted. I'm like, okay, now I got to do inventory. All right, shoulders are good, ribs are good, hips, knees. Take a long wipe the snot off my face. About this point, the guy on the bench next to me grabs me, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he goes, you must be the dumbest rookie I've ever met. And I said, man, it's bad enough. I just, what are you talking about, man? And he goes, your bench is over there.
Yo.
I was on the wrong team's bench. I was on Saskatchewan Rough Rider bench. I'm drinking their Gatorade, wiping snot on their towel, right? Throwing it down. Those guys were all looking at me like, what's your problem? Get out of here, right? So I got up, and I had to walk all the way around the field in front of 30,000 screaming Rough Rider fans. It's one of the few times in my life I've been so grateful that I'm deaf. The language they speak in Saskatchewan is not for childlike ears. So I eventually made my way back to the other side of the field. I don't think any of my teammates were any the wiser that I was gone. And I didn't tell that story for many years until I was visiting my mother one summer. We were at the supper table, and my mom was like, this is 4 or 5 years down the road. I think it was my sister's wedding. And she says, so Jed, how come you never asked to watch that game that I taped, your first game? And I was like, Mom.
Because I want to see myself.
This is my sister's day. Like, you don't need to, she's like, okay, we'll talk about it later. So, I think I asked her to destroy it. So. That was my first game. I hope that answers your question.
That was more than an answer. That was great. That was good.
And once again, we are so happy you are here. That is fantastic.
I'm on a mission. I'm going to find a VHS copy of that. You're going to sign it. It's probably going to go right about there in the corner.
That's right, yeah.
I'll tell you what, Glenn Suter remembers that because when he hit me, he was the one who hit me.
Oh, he was the one who hit you.
And I laugh every time I see him. He's like, because that's the only time he ever hit anybody in his whole career. And it just happened to be me, right? So every time I see him, oh, hey, how you doing, Jed? Yeah, I bet you're happy to see me. Lucky I didn't see you.
He's the only guy that ever hit.
And now to get Suter on the show. All right.
I think I prolonged his career by 5 years.
Excellent. All right. Well, oh my goodness, that is fantastic. Okay, we're gonna flip it back around. So as you can tell, this show is going to be a blast this week. It also might be really long, but that's cool. I'm perfectly fine with that. That is one of the greatest stories we've had on the Periscope. So I hope you guys enjoy. Oh, we're getting a lot of best stories ever. That was fantastic. So well done. And thank you to everyone for joining us. The show will be out on Wednesday. We got lots of great guests coming in. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course cflpass.ca. And please join in the conversation, be part of the group, and enjoy the show this week. We will absolutely talk to you on Wednesday.